Hello, I'm Priscilla Timken. I'm owner of Chesapeake Tours and Promotions, and I'm here with my partner Bill Nelson to talk to you all about Stash Your Trash. Hi, Bill.
Thank you, Priscilla. Hi, I'm Bill Nelson. I work with Salisbury University Environmental Studies, and together we're trying to promote Stash Your Trash, an anti-litter campaign in the city and the county.
Yeah, we started Stash Your Trash about 3 years ago, working with the youth to bring awareness to the litter problem here in Wicomico County. And we've made some good strides in bringing awareness to the problem in the county. But, you know, we talk often about how we can probably be reaching out to more people and getting them involved and helping us with our effort to clean up litter along our roadways.
What prompted you to get started with Stash Your Trash, Priscilla?
Well, as I developed my tour company and I was bringing people to our region, a lot of people were commenting about the problem of litter along our roadways. And I've always noticed it. It's one of my pet peeves. And I thought, well, maybe we can bring awareness and get other people involved in cleaning up our roadways. So it really was an aesthetic issue for me that I thought we had lost pride in our community. And we were just accepting all the litter that was along our roadways. And I recognize it really is a problem, not just in our community by any means, but we can start with where we live and maybe begin to make a difference in being able to clean up our waterways. So I work in after-school programs teaching heritage crafts, and I thought that our natural heritage, our natural beauty, our scenery in the area was something that we need to preserve and protect, and that I could work with young people in after-school programs, encouraging them to want to take an interest in picking up litter. So came up with the slogan, Stash Your Trash. And 150 children 3 years ago hand sewed a quilt that we called the Stash Your Trash quilt that we use to take around the community to bring awareness to the problem and ask people to sign the quilt to take a pledge. And we have over 500 signatures on the quilt of people who also are interested and have taken the pledge to not litter and to stash their trash. And I guess it was somewhere along that way when you and I were working on some Bike Salisbury initiatives that I think you took an interest with your background in environmental studies on being able to help promote this initiative.
Yeah. And I asked you to come over and talk to my kids about it, because part of my job is trying to find ways to outreach and get the kids more involved in the community, and certainly litter is an in-your-face problem. I was interested for two reasons. One is as a citizen, and I bicycle from Del Mar to Salisbury University every day almost, and the amount of litter on the roadsides is just really discouraging. And as you say, it's like that's the most noticeable thing I think about the county in some senses, and it's the first thing people notice, and it's the easiest thing to fix. And it's discouraging in that way. But also as an environmental studies teacher, I'm also very concerned with what happens with the trash when it leaves our eyes, because it never goes away. It breaks into smaller and smaller pieces. It gets in our waterways, it goes into the bay, it goes into the ocean, and by the time it breaks down to microscopic size, it causes all sorts of problems throughout the food chain, especially with filter feeders. So those are huge concerns, because worldwide, cumulatively, the amount of litter is just staggering, and it's affecting, we have the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, and we have garbage patches in the Atlantic. Fish ingest plastic, birds are dying from plastic, and so it's something I'm teaching all the time and something I'm seeing all the time, and we have to do something about it. So that's how you and I got together.
Yeah, it's been a great partnership. It certainly has, having you and the university, and we also have the chamber, the Salisbury Chamber of Commerce, involved in helping to promote it, trying to get our businesses engaged and taking some ownership of, how our community looks. And I know I've learned so much from you from the scientific point of view of just how the litter on the road, like you says, ends up in our waterways, and it just doesn't go away. It becomes even a bigger problem that you and I, that we're all kind of responsible for, and we have the capability of changing.
Right.
And it changes with not putting our litter, you know, out on the ground.
Right.
And if everyone just stashed their trash, like, you know, it was ingrained in us in the 60s growing up, thanks to Lady Bird Johnson, who promoted, you know, beautification of the roadways. We can make a big, big difference, and without any expenditure of any money.
Right.
It's really a change of behavior and an awareness about the impact that littering has on not just how we are presenting our community and what we are accepting about our community, but more importantly our waterways and the impact it's having beyond you and me.
Yeah. It might be a good time to look at a few pictures to show what the problem is, and then explain what these friends of ours that are trying to fix the problem.
And we aren't pointing fingers at anybody at all in this. This is an awareness, you know, program, and it could be anywhere. And I think we kind of want to highlight just, you know, it's in the city, it's in the roads, it's in our country, in our beautiful countryside. And you're right. Just I think it is good to take a look at some of the pictures.
Yeah. So if we turn our attention to the pictures, this first picture is a pretty typical downtown view, and unfortunately you can see quite a bit of litter. It was amazing how easy it was to find pictures of conglomerations of trash, such as this, or this, or this. And you can, and actually this is kind of significant because it's actually just about to go into a stream that forms the headwaters of the Wicomico, so it's especially troubling in that way. But also it was frustrating because the real story was not the big piles of trash, but the fact that there was trash basically every foot or 2 feet or 5 feet everywhere along the roads. It's just amazing. This is out in a little more in the country, but you can see, you know, enough people throw out their bottles and their cigarettes and their beer cans, and you get this. And as I said, it never goes away. It seems to wash downstream. Sometimes you get big accumulations, like I think somebody must have taken trash bags, like their kitchen trash, for a few weeks and thrown it out. This is maybe hard to see, but somebody actually took a fitted sheet to a double or queen size bed, filled it full of garbage bags, had to load it in their car and truck, driving around looking for some place to empty it. So it varies from individual pieces of litter to, you know, truckloads. And then you get things like this. This was actually close by my house, and there were 5 computers dumped at one time. 3 of them aren't in the picture. And everybody who's seen this picture imagines that was probably a business. It probably wasn't just an individual who happened to have 5 old computers.
And this is a good reminder that, you know, our landfill accepts computers,
exactly.
you know, free of charge, I believe. I mean, there's absolutely no charge to, you know, just take it to the landfill instead of dumping it along the roadside or the waterways.
So once they loaded up the car, it was just as easy to take it to the landfill. In this picture, you can see that there's actually litter around a storm drain, which goes to going in the waterways, breaking into smaller pieces, etc. And I believe, the next few pictures, this is a stream, and you can see, obviously there's whole pieces of litter too, but you can see especially the styrofoam and the lighter plastic is starting to break up. And after a few months or a few years, you wouldn't be able to see that plastic anymore, but it would still be existing just in, you know, micron-sized pieces. Yeah, here the same thing.
And that's a problem for aquatic life.
Yes, it is. As I said, anything that's a filter feeder ingests these microparticles. Anything that, if you think about birds that are skimmers or sea turtles, anything that is used to eating anything in front of its mouth for the last 500,000, couple million years, that's been a living thing. But in the last 50 years, chances are greater and greater and greater that's a piece of plastic. And so we have situations where there's birds starving to death and their bellies are full, but they're full of plastic particles because they're just wired to eat anything different, right? And it's very depressing.
I've heard you say over the last 3 years that you kind of say to your students that being an environmental studies student for 4 years is like 4 years of being depressed.
It seems that way sometimes.
But we've had some really fun times with trying to raise awareness about Stash Your Trash,
Yes.
combining art and this particular issue.
Yeah.
So,
Because the flip
of course,
side,
the first thing was the quilt, where we used sewing and stuff, and then the second year started the first of our recycled materials art project. We took our logo, which has the heron. I think we have one of our Stash Your Trash bags, and that has the heron and the trash can and a crab. The heron and the crab, of course, being indigenous to our region.
And this was actually designed by a Salisbury University environmental studies student.
Yes, it was. Another one of our great joint projects. Jane Clark, isn't it, Jane? So the first year we did the Heron Project, and maybe a lot of people who are watching this show have seen the flock of heron in our community. Because we invited the community to make out of recycled material a heron. And you made a frame out of reclaimed chain link fencing.
Exactly.
And we have one of our great herons here with us. This one was actually made by some staff at the Blackwell Library at the university. Cleverly made out of pages of an old library book and some metal cans, and actually they made a little book at the base of it. And you know, it's been great fun taking these around to central locations in the community, the tourism office, the airport, PRMC, the Ward Museum, who were great hosts in having the herons.
Yeah. And now they're at the hospital and at the Delmarva Discovery Center. Yeah.
And did you find that some of the folks, when we first talked about asking them to host this, were a little reluctant about, you know, recycled hair? Yeah, really. And yet the response has been,
it's been great. Yeah, once they actually see the birds, and they're beautiful. They're works of art, and they're so clever and varied. Yeah.
And I know Steve Miller, our tourism director, said to me he was so excited. He was a little reluctant at first, but the response from people coming through and visiting the visitor center was incredible. And it's been really nice to get calls from folks who have seen it, who want to know about Stash Your Trash because they would like to start the same thing in their own community.
Yes, and that's exactly what we hope, that these birds and these crabs will be a vehicle to get people to change their behavior. Yeah. And it's funny because the first year we didn't know what to expect, and when we got 13 entries and they were down there at the November 3rd Friday voting, and it was what, 300 and something
363
people,
I think people.
We were ecstatic, and and then when they went on display and you see these birds, and then there's all the little signs saying, and you know, by the way, Stash Your Trash, don't litter, it got people thinking about it. So we got the kids excited about it and thinking about it the time they made it, and then we got the larger public to start thinking about it. And so that was 2 years ago. And then this past year, what did we decide to do? The same type of contest, except this time with a crab, which the heron and the crab are the two elements of our design.
Yeah.
And do you want to talk about them a little bit?
Yeah, so we went from 14 entries to almost 40 entries this year. And we have 3 of them on display. We just to incentivize and give the communities, you know, a way to participate, we did have folks that came by to look at them at Third Fridays, both last year and this year, to cast the one that they liked, their favorite one. And so this is the one that was the favorite this year, and it was made by SU students, some of your Green Floor kids. And we had, you know, just more participation throughout the community. I think we went from one school last year, the second grade at Shipman Elementary last year with the heron, to 5 schools represented this year. and businesses and nonprofits and families, and it was just really pretty cool, wasn't it, to see the participation. It really was.
To see the, because I sort of have a captive audience with my freshman green floor kids. I basically said, we're going to make herons and we're going to make crabs. And as you said, last year, some SU associated teams were the majority of the teams, and this year they were a minority because it exploded in the community, and we loved it. And then actually that got us a couple of invitations to speak at schools, which we'd love to do, because basically we want to spread the word, get other people involved, and get other people stashing your trash and promoting it and picking up litter and telling their parents and telling their community.
Yeah, that's our plea at the moment, is we really are here to present a little bit of the history of Stash Your Trash, but really to ask you, the community, to get more involved. And we have 2 opportunities for you. One is we're available to come and talk to your group about Stash Your Trash and what it is that you can do. If you are a neighborhood homeowners association, if you are a school group, a youth group, scouts, church youth groups, even any business organizations, any of the Rotary, Lions, any groups like that, VFWs, you know, it just kind of goes on and on. We are available to come and talk to you about Stash Your Trash, and we are looking to really explode the number of people in our annual cleanup, which will be in April. It's the annual Salisbury cleanup that they now call the Stash Your Trash cleanup.
And looking further ahead, we also have in October or November, we have a fall cleanup that clean up the river.
Yes.
We'll be using boats as well.
Right.
It's a lot of fun.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, so we really are looking to get you know, more people in the community involved and taking ownership of Stash Your Trash.
Yes, and we're hoping to keep spreading the word until eventually it becomes unthinkable for anybody to litter, and then we won't have a problem anymore. It's probably the easiest environmental problem to address if we all address it.
Yeah, if everybody just stashed their own trash, we wouldn't have the issues that we have.
Yeah.
Pretty simple.
Yes. So my contact information is Bill Nelson at Salisbury University. My email is wanelson@salisbury.edu. My phone number is 410-543-8105.
And my contact would be Priscilla@ChesapeakeTourPlanner.com. And my phone number is 443-366-2784. So in addition to the flock that kind of migrates around the community, we have the winner from the Heron contest, whose name is Scuttle, and Scuttle goes around to the Green Business of the Month, and the business gets recognized for a green practice that they have in their office.
And the businesses can either self-nominate or someone can nominate a business. Is that correct? And then the Chamber of Commerce awards that, and basically the Heron Scuttle is the trophy that moves from place to place, and they get to display them, and it gets to increase education as it moves around.
Absolutely, and some of the businesses that have been nominated have been the Lower Eastern Shore, or the Lower Shore Enterprises, who has, I think, some solar panels at their facility.
And they do regular
They do regular cleanups. I think Bill said once a week they have their employees cleaning up in front of their building, and they recycle. And Minuteman Press, who in their new location was able to recycle paper significantly. And Sperry Van Ness, for recognition of cleanup of their commercial shopping centers. And it currently is on display at the Eastern Shore Regional Library, and they recycle in their workplace and have started a garden actually at their workplace. So, you know, it can be for any particular green, if you will, reason. So.
Yes. And so now we'll continue Scuttle moving around, but we'll also add the winning crab from this year, so every year's winner will become promoting businesses to be more conscious of their litter.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you are interested in having Scuttle in your workplace as a green business, you can contact me, Priscilla Timken at Chesapeake Tours and Promotions, 443-366-2784, or Bill Nelson at Salisbury University Environmental Studies Department.
Yeah, W.A. Nelson at salisbury.edu. Or you could contact the Chamber of Commerce directly, and
yes.
Sophia will help you out.
Definitely. So, Bill, what is it that we always like to say at the end? Don't forget to stash your trash.